Hey, it's Jeff here again. For anyone who has followed my video last year with trying to get our trailer down the beach here in Eastbourne, south coast of England, Pebble, Shingle Beach, it's a bit of a nightmare. And we did some tweaks with the trailer, made it into like a 3-axle trailer, variable axles. But this year we're trying a bit harder. So last year I was using a combination of this first variable axle concept which I come up with here, which was a bit crude, bit clonk clonk. And I was also using my newer one, which is like, I put a smile on my face because I'm absolutely proud of it. Like, it's cheeky, it's fucking clever. I hope I'm not just bigging myself up there, but I feel like it's clever. Perfect, any height, you know, it goes really high, so when you're traveling on the road, it's not touching the ground, and then it can go really low to lift the actual trailer off the ground. So it's pretty cheeky, it's pretty cool. There are some design improvements to be made. I guess it's a lot of weight lifting up a jet ski here, like 400 kilos of jet ski or whatever it is, plus the trailer weight. It's a lot of weight to be lifting up off of these axles. And the way that I had it connected to the axles, my brackets did bend up a little bit. They still worked, but they did take some strain and they did bend up a bit. So I'm changing the design for this year. So this is the first one of a redesign, and the plan is just to clip it along the chassis rail, bolt it along that way on the chassis rail, rather than having it supported from the underneath and putting the folds on it. Could be easier to make as well. So yeah, this time it's going to bolt flat on the side of the chassis rail, rather than me bolting it to the bottom of the chassis rail and having the folds on it. We're just going to bolt it straight to the side of the chassis rail. Another thing I had was this ski was heavy, like lifting it up, lifting the trailer up with this jet ski on it is actually really quite heavy, like unnecessarily heavy. And I know we moved the axle. We moved the axle forward a little bit last year, the main running axle, but you're still heavy. So we moved it forward some more. So balancing this out, we've loosened off the clamps, hammered this forward, and that's, yeah, hammered it forward, and it's a lot lighter now. So that axle is more centrally mounted. Last year when we did this, we had the standard sort of road going wheels on the center axle, and the idea was, I think with my extra axles, we were sort of probably like lifting it off the ground by the extra axles, and the extra axles with the balloon beach tires were taking all the weight, and this one was basically off the ground. But I'm thinking, like, if we got that extra axle, it'd be much better, like if we got that centered, centered with the weight of the jet ski on that center axle, it'd be much better if we were using some of the, like using that axle with the beach tires on it. So I was just taking a look here, can we actually use that axle with the beach tires? I know I must have tried it before, but I think it fouled the wheel arches. I've just removed the wheel arch off of this side, and Danny's bolted it on. I'm just taking a look now, so yeah, so it doesn't actually spin like as standard. It doesn't fit on that axle, having like that suspension on the axle. I probably would need to use some spacers on it perhaps, or change that rear axle, or do something with that rear axle. But I feel like that would be really useful to do that, to do something on there to actually be using that. Yeah, to be using that would be much better. So I'm looking for a solution for that. I don't know if these balloon tires are available with a bigger hub like size, a bigger wheel size. That will probably be better, or with a different offset. So I'm going to have a look at that and see if we can do something with that to get that working. And then I'm going to look to redesign those mounts for that axle and get that on the back here. And then I'm looking to make another brand new variable axle to go at the front instead of the first version, the crude version of variable axle. And then where I'm going to put it here, the front axle is going to be somewhere in and around this here. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with that yet. We're either going to knock this axle back that way to support the jet ski, or when we build the variable axle, I'm going to space it out maybe like 40 mil with some box section, and we have it like the moving parts moving on the outside of this. So that's what we're thinking. If we're going to space it out, then where these like little stub axles are here, we're going to chop that down 40 mil shorter. I'm going to chop that part of that axle. So I'm going to use out of this axle, the first one, what I'm going to use is I'm going to use the hubs and I'm going to use a stub axle except for chop it off here. This bit of box section, this 40 by 40, I'm going to chop that there, and then we're going to cut a new section of box section across the top and weld them to it, like what I've done with this one here. I'm going to have to chop that last bit of box down at an angle there, because otherwise that would foul on the inside of that wheel. And then we're going to laser off some more of these parts, laser off some more of those parts. I've got to try and remember what I even did with all these different parts which I've made here, and laser off and make all these different parts, and this bolt also. Got a feeling it's not going to be a one afternoon Saturday job, this. Like, this is probably a bit more of a recce, do a few little bits, work out what parts I need to order and where we're going to go from here. So wish me luck. I'm sure we're going to get there, and hopefully going to get a jet ski that's going to push down the beach really, really nice on our Shingle Beach. And we're also going to take a look at the four-wheel drive that we got here and see if we can get that to drive up and down the beach to make it even easier. I haven't managed to find much information about four-wheel drives going on stones and pebble beaches. All seems to be about going on rocks, mud and sand. Maybe there's a reason that there's no videos of them that I can find on pebble beaches or on Shingle beaches. Perhaps they don't go on them. But we're going to try and find that out too. Yeah, so what we found was that wheel wasn't spinning, because the inside of the wheel is actually like banging up against that piece of the suspension, like of the end of the axle. So we're just going to try spacing them off. We put some nuts there which are about 10 millimeters wide. We're going to try and space it off with them and see, is that enough that it will turn. If that is enough, then maybe we're going to make ourselves some spacers. Probably going to laser off. I just have 5mm. I have 5mm mild steel, the thickest I have here. We'll probably just laser off a couple of 5mm, if that's enough, and make ourselves some spacers just to offset it. Is that enough? Yep. Let's see. I wonder how much space we have got. Yep. So there is a bit, yeah, there's a bit of space there, isn't there? Yep. So they might not need to be as big as them nuts. Them nuts are like 10mm spacers, so I think what I'll do is I'm going to laser off, I'm going to draw on the CAD software a 5mm spacer, laser it off, and then we'll check it out. And then maybe, if not, we'll do 2 lots of the 5, or perhaps the 2 and a 3 or something like that. Yeah. Sorry, a 5 and a 3, and give us like about 7mm, 8mm, 5 and a 2. Cool, so that's going to be much better, isn't it, Danny? We get going with one of them bad boys. I go and buy another couple of them wheels. We get them other 2 axles on here, like variable axles, like, it's going to fly, hopefully, Danny.
You've been doing this, what, this is the 3rd year?
3rd year, yeah. Yeah, it's the 3rd year. Each year, it gets a little bit better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But we haven't, like, sussed it yet. I want it to be like one-man job. Just push the jet ski down there. Like, if I was to go there with the kids, just myself, push it down.
Goes there, he can do it by himself.
Who's there?
Hulk.
Hulk?
Yeah.
Yeah. My son's a bit like a Hulk, but he's only like a 9-year-old Hulk at the moment. Doesn't quite have that. Danny's like the Hulk. He's a full-on Hulk.
I used to be.
He used to be. He's getting all British on us, he is, after being here for 10 years or whatever it is. Yeah. I'm really excited about this. We probably have to this is going to be like the road going axle, so probably going to have to put like an extra wheel arch on this one anyway. So this has come along pretty good. It turns out, yeah, one 5mm spacer worked well. Went in the CAD software and I drew myself a spacer, and I've lasered that. Actually had to do it again. I put the first one, the sizing was all perfect, except for I put the nipple like in line with one of the studs. So I had to go back in there and draw the nipple entrance midway between the stud there, in order for that spacer to go on. But yeah, that one spacer fits perfectly. It goes on there great. The wheel spins great. So that's going to be ideal to get that axle going. I'm going to order up another pair of these wheels to go in the centre now. I'm just looking at the work involved in doing these axles, in refitting this axle which I previously made, but switching over the chassis mount design that I had on there previously because it wasn't strong enough, and switching that over to one that's just going to bolt straight on the side of the chassis. And just trying to remember all this sort of design which I made, all these parts that I made here for the mechanism, and all the moving parts and the bolts and the locations for the bolts. One side of the axle was relatively basic in that front, like the bolt would just go, like be controlled by this side of the axle, and then we just do up the bolt to like nip it up afterwards. Where this one is a bit more complicated. I've made this kind of like receiver for the thread to go all the way in, and the idea with this receiver is not only will it like jack up the suspension, but once we finish with it, when I do it in the undo position, it pushes the axle back up and holds the axle back up off of the road, so it's not going to go on the road. I've just been through lasering off a load of parts. It's like 7 PM on a Saturday. Like, I'm going to be in trouble with the missus and the kids. I better go home. Couple more parts that I've got here off the laser, the spacer, the correct spacer, to go on the other side. Once I get another one of them balloon wheels, I've got for where the chassis mount is going. I don't actually have any of the U-bolts this size. I was just going to go with these as washers on the chassis rail on the other side to this part, which is going to hold the axle and do the controlling. In addition to that, I think where this is going to go on the chassis and where the axle goes, probably going to need to sit some spacers. So I've lasered off some spacers to go on there also, but there's still a few more parts to this project, so I'm going to have to laser off four more of these that I'm going to weld on when I make up that axle. I have to laser off another one of these like U sections, and then there was a 2-part here process, 2 parts here to laser off which hold this. I need to chop which hold this. I need to chop another bit of metal which is about 30 centimeters long, and then I weld up like the nuts and the bolts to this. This is basically like an extension, like a socket extension. Put the socket on this end and it goes all the way down to the nut on this end, which I need to weld. And this has got a push-pull design which I've made for this to pull, not only pull the axle, push the axle down to jack the jet ski off of the beach, but also to pull the axle back up to retract it. So yeah, there's still lots of work to do. Cut a few of these, like the round things that the bolt goes through for the mechanism. I kind of forgot how much work was involved in this. Kind of. I remembered it was a lot. I think if it hadn't been as much work as that, I would have done the 2 variable axles last year. But I think I did the one and decided like the one was enough. But maybe now I've got this extra bit of motivation. Maybe I'll try and get a whole parts list and write down the process which I've done to get this axle and all the different parts which I've designed and manufactured here in our workshop. So that's a wrap for today. I'm going to leave it in a bit of a mess here. I guess this mess will be a Monday morning. I'll have to clear it up, and I better go home. So 90 mil, a smaller at 50 mil. Right, a few parts chopped. They will need a little bit of work on them. They're going to need cleaning. I'll clear that out a little bit. The other end is smooth already. So I've just been to the other axle, the one I made last year. I'm just looking at the part I'm looking to make with the extra bolts on this end to make like put like a deep socket over it when using it. And on this end, looks like I've used a nut plus a nice big washer at the end there. So that's the part that I'm trying to replicate now for this extra axle. Alright, so I'm going to nip that up enough so it just sort of stays in place. tacks to start with just to hold it in place. And then I think I'll withdraw the rod out of there before I weld it all the way up, or the rod might just get jammed in there. Now I think I'm going to flip that round, do the same thing on this end. Now also, I do want a washer on the other end, so I think I'm going to put a washer on the nut there. Right, so that's it, and I want to centre that up so it's even. So I think at this point, it's probably be good for me to extract the stainless steel rod out of here before it ends up getting stuck. Excellent. So I want this to all be in line. I want these to all line up. And with that, I want it to stay like that while I go in and weld them. And then I'm kind of remembering what I did last year actually now, which I think what I did was I wound it on with the gun just to see, like, is it wonky? And if it is wonky, because I've only got one spot weld on it, I can probably straighten it up at this point. That's what it's looking like at the moment. I'm going to do that same thing in the vise. Run it with the vise holding it. Yeah, it's good. Right, so I'd say that's enough welding for that little thing. It's going to need a bit of cleaning up now with a grinder, but it should be nice and solid. So got all these little pieces here which need to drill through. I'm just going to start them off with a pilot drill here by hand. Oh. That drill bit's got to be in terrible condition. So I think I'm going to sharpen that up, and then sort of while I'm at it, I'm sort of also realising there's other parts I'm going to need on the laser here to be made, like to start welding up with the rear axle. So I'm collecting all the parts together. I've got to sharpen up this drill bit. I'm going to do it the old school way. Right, that's it. Go back over this laser, carry on, finding files. Another couple of parts there which we need to bend them yet on the press brake. Adding parts to the collection of parts. See what else I can find on here, because I know we've got the big parts that have got to come yet. I've got this 3mm to go on the bed. It definitely is the right one, because It's a skeleton which the last ones were cut out from last year. And these parts are the parts that are going to go on the axle. These are going to be our rotators, or discs. So if you take a look at that, and I'll just check that against the axle that I've got, which I made last year. And that's going to make like them. So that looks good. We'll have 3 more of them. I go to the laser settings. I've already got it set for 3 more. I'm just going to do remaining parts. Slip the drawer in so I can see what it looks like. Check it looks good. Does look good. There's the one we've already done. 3 more. Let's go ahead. Let's cut them. And off it goes. So our parts, so look, they're mounted up, aren't they? Pieces all over the place. You have to get the press brake in operation in a minute. Get the tooling set up. And get these parts bent, folded, ready to go. The 3 of them done so far. It's on the last one now. There we go, parts, parts, more parts. Serious amount of parts going into this job. Now I'm just going to pick up here where Danny left off yesterday. He got these, he started chopping these stub axles, but it needs a bit more sorting out. We've got to get rid of them bits off the side. I'm going to weld this up. Run there. Right, so the bit's chopped off. Now, time to switch over to a grinding disc and just grind the lumps that are left on it off. This would be much easier doing it on the workbench, but the trouble with, let's say we do van security here, mostly using stainless steel. I just don't want to contaminate the workshop with all this mild steel shavings going around everywhere. I don't want it to end up on our mild steel parts and make our stainless parts and end up with the, like, basically the debris off of this, like, rusting on them, because it would just make it look horrible. Right, switch from cutting disc to grinding disc on the angle grinder, because you shouldn't put pressure, like sideways pressure on a cutting disc, or it'll break, snap in your face. I think it might be about time to start thinking about welding this axle up. So I'm kind of ready to try and make up this axle, like the main part of the axle. So I'm going to put on some of these. Going to want that. Better make sure I'm putting them on the right way around. I've just been out to look at the other axle that I made last year to see how it works. I'm going to want 2 on that end. I want 2 mirroring it on this end. I want each one of these like gaps here, they need to be spaced out correctly. I've got some spacers, like packers, that I can use for that. So that's like, in a nutshell, the order of the parts that they need to go at anyway. And then I'm going to want these on the ends. So probably just going to put these in all the way in for now. Then I'll put the ends on, and then I can move them back out. If I put it like that, then there's going to be plenty enough room. And then that's how the axle's going to go. And that's what gives us the ability to like lift the axle up, sort of 100 mil up or 100 mil down by being able to rotate it like this. Right, let's get the welder back on, let's get the gas back on. Right, that's that one tacked in place. Oh, I'm gonna get going with the brew. It'll be cold by the time I finish this. Kind of got limited time on the clock. I've got to be home for Sunday dinner pretty soon. I don't really want to weld and then lock up straight away either, so kind of need to hang around half an hour after finish welding. Yeah, horrible going through all the rusty bits. Bits of hot rocks popping off in my ear as well. Ain't much fun. All right, let's get these spacers on. With that clamped in place, I'm going to go ahead and weld that part onto the axle now. And it's not quite right, is it? There's a tweak there somewhere. I think I'm just going to clean the nozzle out before I carry on with that. So bunged up in here actually. I should have stopped to do it earlier. Okay, good. Flip this over, do the same on the other side. That's much nicer, that is. Don't know if that's just because I cleaned the nozzle out and tweaked it, or whether it's because there's less heat in the actual axle on this side. Had a bit of a break since I was welding at this side. It's kind of had a chance to cool down a little bit. Well, this is where we are. It's taking shape. This axle, we've made it a bit, like the stub axles are shorter than the other one because I could have put a bit of spacers on the side of the trailer because there's a bit of section which we need to avoid. Like that. So yeah, it's looking good. Still a lot of work to go into it. A lot of parts there. We've got to bend some of these parts on the press brake. These bits. Have wheel spacer. Got to wait for a pair of wheels to arrive. At some point you have to paint and powder coat these parts so they don't rust up like mad. Got to grind this bolt with the angle grinder quite a lot. This specialist, like long deep socket sort of extension effectively. But there, so far not a bad weekend's work between a few hours yesterday, a few hours today. Better get the stop welding now so I can just do half an hour of other jobs while I'm waiting for this to cool down so that it's not going to burn the building down, and get home for my dinner before I'm in big trouble. Sunday dinner today. So for these parts I need to bend them up. I've just been bending a few of these little parts here for the parks, which these are going to double up together. I have two parts, one slightly longer than the other one. So once they do bolt up, they're going to be basically the same length. The next part, this one, I've got to make this like into a U shape. So in terms of the actual tooling needed for the press brake here, it needs to be like a gooseneck punch, a reversed gooseneck punch. So what I mean by that is, in order that it doesn't bump into the tooling when it comes up, I fit the gooseneck punch in the reverse way around, so I can fold off use the back stops, and then it folds up into that void. No space to spare. So that's giving me my U shape there. And if I do the next, I mean the angle's actually pretty good. I've kept the corrections on the press from the last time I run this program. And actually I've switched the tooling since, so I don't know how it worked out so well without me doing corrections. But here we go. So flat piece of metal from the laser in there. Do the first bend. You watch it go up into the 90, which is there like that. And then I'm going to flip that around. And then this 90, well, as I do the next 90, this existing 90 will go up into the void on the gooseneck. There we go. So clever, this machinery. That gooseneck tool there is really cool. Allows you to make some really pretty cool shapes. This press brake is awesome actually. It's got all the different axes on the back stops. They go out, left, right, up, down, in and out, all independently. It's a really good versatile press brake, this one, especially with the controller system, latest Windows controller system that's on there. Also touchscreen. Yeah, it's the nuts. So a few more of my parts. Do I need any more parts? That's what I'm wondering. So just roll this into position. Yeah. Just work out which way around it needs to go. This needs to point towards the back, the bolts. And that, if you tilt that thread forwards, there. Probably just put it down at the front end. Still quite heavy at the front end there. Maybe we need to move that axle further forward again. It's heavy. I want it to be light with it, really.
And hammer it in a bit more.
Yeah, undo them both and knock it forward like away. Seems wrong that it's we're going so far forward, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it did move a lot.
But that's where it needs to go. Obviously.
Should we take the measurement?
This seems to be a bit difficult.
Yeah, because
It's because
we need to lift it up from there.
yeah, because then at least it's going with gravity, isn't it? How, let go of it a second, Danny. Right, you go with the hammer. It's your friend. Maybe it was the big hammer was the was the thing I was looking for. Let's see. Right, compared to, it looks like it's gone about 60 mil.
Yeah.
Would you say? See how the other side is going. Right, that side goes a lot easier, isn't it? I think the other side's too tight. Right, hold on. Keep going. But let's loosen the other side off a little bit. Right, switch. Try the other side. That's easier, isn't it? Go a little bit more, we'll go to that mark. Bit more. Stop there. Right. You go back a bit. No, I'm only joking. Right, let's go to the other side. So I've got that mark there, like level with the back of the axle. That was with the front bit before. So probably come forward like 80 mil once we get onto that.
So a tiny bit more on this one.
Yeah, just get that mark level. Let's try it. Yeah, that's it. I'm going to try that. Oh, it's definitely getting lighter now. But there still is some weight to it, but it's not much. So 20 kilo or something, 30 kilo. Let's move it a little bit more. See if I've been eating my Weetabix here. What do you think, my spinach? Oh, look! that's definitely easier. All right, we probably can't go any more, can we? Because we're running out of trailer, aren't we? We're going so far towards the front. So we've come a long way forward here, haven't we? It was all the way back there. It was really quite heavy to lift up. A bit of a pain being so heavy, you know, especially when you want to drain it lift it all the way up, drain all the water out the back, flush it down, and that is much better if it's lighter. Obviously you want some weight on the front of it in order to to tow it nice, you know, to stop it wagging when you're driving. I think they say something like 10% of the weight of the trailer, between 10 and 20%, and then seeing what the nose weight is of your tow bar as well, take that into consideration. So I think a lot of nose weights are only like 30 kilos or 40 kilos or something like that. It was a bit too heavy. Do have plenty of these like U-bolts here, but the sizing I've got are all like 40s and 50s, and they're like quite long threads on them. What we need for this one, 60 this way, and they need to be quite short. So what I've done is, as well as making the actual plate here, I've just made like a washer to go on the back, like a big flat strap, the same sort of size, but without the hinge mount like at the bottom. So that's what we're going to use for the minute for this one. And then we need to just make sure that we got enough space, like we're not banging onto these, colliding with these nuts.
Yeah.
So does that mean we need to put a few more washers on?
No, I think we can.
Like the gap is very big on this side. How's the gap on your side?
Same.
So it looks like I need another 3 washers on this side.
Me too.
All right, bring us 3 more for this side. Yeah, okay. There is still more space, but actually it's probably be all right anyway. All right, push. Go down a bit and push the bolt. A bit lower. Ah, all right, okay, push the bolt. Yes. Good. Right, it's Wednesday now. With all the busy stuff going on through the weekend, trying to get a lot of this job done, and now yeah, I did an hour in between. I think on Monday, an hour on Tuesday, just in between work. Very busy, but I feel like we're making some good progress. We've got this rear axle back on. That's the one from last year, the variable axle from last year, but I've just changed the mounts over. Last year, I had these strapped on the chassis rails with this mount, but it didn't quite work out. It bent up, so I changed it for this flat plate design for this year, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes. So for the front axle, made it basically the same, 40mm box section, 3mm reinforced, and then spaced it up another 40mm in between that and the stub axle. We cut the stub axle down on this side, so it's make it further. So this part is further away from the chassis, because at the front we've got this bit sticking out here. We need to clear that, so it's going to be spaced out, this one. And I have all the parts here powder coated and ready to go. So let's do it. So this is the part that's like a bit awkward, getting these things on. It's sort of the job that needs to be done before we bolt them together. better, isn't it? And I need to like pull them apart a little bit as we get it there. And it needs to go tight. It needs to lock off. It's quite exciting, isn't it? Yeah, I think I'm just going to get the socket. Not so good. Yeah, so that nut, if you saw it, I welded that nut inside on that bit of like flat bar, which I lasered off, and that's made like a lock nut, so it's push-pull. But when I buzz the nut on this doesn't turn. That stays rigid, and then the axle is just going to change accordingly. Right, same there. Good. Got the cup of tea as well. Look like 40 or so. You got 25mm spacers, so they need to be like minimum 35 probably. So we're there. I mean, pretty much there anyway. I might have skipped a little bit on that, the last assembly points of the axles. We were struggling a little bit. It was a lot of work, but I think we are there. So take a look at this. So there we go. The front axle trailer sort of tapering off there for where the front axle goes. So I did have to sort of space it off. We put a bit of box section there. We put a bit of box section there so I can mount these mounts to it. Because we had this on the side of the trailer, I had to space these like out away from the chassis a little bit. Where on the back one, we're quite close. See, on the back axle, we're really close. So I cut like the stub axles down on the front ones a little bit. So the wheels are like in the same sort of line. These stub axles are a bit shorter and this bit's further out. In the end, the amount we spaced it out, it kind of makes it quite versatile actually, if it was to fit it on different trailers. But we've ended up having to pack out, like space out this bit of mounting point, and had to also space out this part of the mounting as well for the axle. But it's there. My latest version of variable axles, both front and rear axle on this trailer now with my latest version of the variable axle. I'm so excited to try this out. I haven't tried it out yet. This is 3 years in the making. And also, when I say 3 years in the making, actually another trailer I had like 10 years ago, I was welding like a twin axle on that one. It wasn't a variable axle. That trailer just lived on the beach. But yeah, I've been doing this for a while. I've been working, trying to find a good solution to this for a while. This problem here, living with the Shingle Beach. I just love the idea that I can drive the trailer down the road on the main axle and then just put down my extra variable axles when I get to the beach, and this should make it, like, hopefully really easy to push it down the beach. In addition, this year, as well as having this latest variable axle front and rear, the main axle, I've replaced the wheels for a different set of wheels. I've got the flotation tyres, so I've got flotation tyres on the main axle plus the extra 2 axles, so 6 flotation tyres in total. Did have to raise these mud guards up. These mud guards here were banging on the flotation tyres on the wheels when I did add them on. I had to space the wheels out a little bit as well to stop them rubbing on the hub. Then we had to move the mud guard and space it up so the tyres weren't touching the mud guard. That was another little bit of engineering. The bracket there which we made, which bolts into the factory mounts and bolts to the mud flap mount and just raises it up about 100mm or so. There's the back axle with the variable axle, and it's a tweaked design of it from where I did before, because last year the mounts did seem to bend up. These mounts seemed to bend up last year, so I've tweaked the design a little bit further this year. But I guess the main thing is, do they work? So let me show you how they work, at least in theory here, how they work. The variable axle, what I've got here is, I've got this like extension bolt which I made up, which is part of the design. And look at this, really? Okay, there it is, it's up. It's down, so that's back axle down. Looking good. Look at the height of the front axle now. There's loads of height there. We've got the same thing on this. Gonna use the same impact gun here on this one. And let's watch this axle. And that one's done as well. Isn't it brilliant? I love it. Absolutely love it. Super proud. No money involved in this job, just for fun. 3 years of labour. Well, obviously not full-time labour. I've had to do some work here in the meantime and look after the family also, but really pleased with that. Let's watch it again. Ready? I'm going to leave the mount there. And... wheel goes up. Wheel goes down. I'll show you it from this view. Show you my mechanism, my invention I've got for this. Axle up. Axle down. Down. It's kind of noisy, this impact gun. Hey, wonder if I'd be better off just using the drill without all that dunk, 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 dunk going on. Let's give it a try. Here's a regular drill. We'll put it on the slow speed. We'll try it with this drill. See whether we get less noise and see how it works. And down again. And up again. And one more time. Down again. Right, let's see. How long does it take to do it? Both of them. We're going to do like a pit stop challenge now. Right, now put them up. There's that one up. I'm going to put the back one up. And we do a pit stop challenge. Right, I'm going to show you both axles in the same view when we do the pit stop challenge. So you can see both axles are there up off the ground, like massive amount of gap off the ground actually, whole big like hand span. Right, and go! Front axle. Stop the clock. That's epic. Yeah, epic. So I'm really proud of that. Really excited with that. There's been a lot of work, but that's super cool. Really can't wait to try it out. There's a couple little bits under there I need to touch up with the paint or at least wax oil and where I was working on it. But I guess it's still a prototype of this next latest version, so can't get too precious about it, can you? It's better to try these things out, use them again. Could still be some improvement to do on it yet. Another thing I'm wondering about is this truck. I mean, can I get this down the stones even more? It seems like it's got a bit of a body lift, at least on the front. It's got some like mud tires on it. Maybe if I let the air out of these down to sort of 15-16 psi, I'm even wondering if I could drive that down the beach, but that's a whole other story. So we're going to take it to the beach in the next video and test this out. But I hope you've enjoyed this making of the variable axle trailer, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.